Hey guys, welcome to Up the Coast with Alex and Britt. We are well beyond the midway point of the season, and we are officially now on episode 10, week 9 of the 2026 NCAA softball season. So, Britt, just general thoughts, I think, on where the ACC is right now.
I think there's some clear separation from the top and bottom. I think some teams have their hardest road ahead of them. I think Louisville has been a pleasant surprise for the ACC. Georgia Tech still playing heart attack type games, but was able to pull those off this weekend instead of dropping those late inning games. We saw some interesting pitching moves. I don't know. I think this is the time of year where teams can either really start to get frustrated with what's happening. This time of year that teams are doing well can start to kind of coast. It's that time of year where you can kind of fall into some kind of trap wherever your team is. And it's the teams that can really buckle down, keep that intensity throughout the week in practice and that competitiveness in their practice that come out on top and have that longevity to make it through this long season.
I agree. I feel like teams are we're well beyond now the point of still figuring it out. I feel like the last couple of weeks we've kind of used that as not necessarily a crutch, but just very transparent of some teams still don't know. But at this point, I think they know what they have. It's just a matter of getting that response from your players and taking care of business on the field. Because I do think, like you're saying, some teams we know they're good. Some teams we're very well aware of, they go out on the field and it's hard to imagine or assume what team is going to step out on there and play. So,
Hello, Clemson.
yeah, a little bit, a little bit. You were picking up what I was putting down there. So, but yeah, so I feel like we're at a pretty good spot. I think that there are a couple of top contenders, and to us, no surprise on how well they're playing.
Yeah, I think you know who you are as a team now, and it's kind of accepting that identity and fully embracing it. And you'll find success that way. And some teams have, and we'll talk about.
Yeah, finding ways to win with that in mind. So, a couple teams went undefeated this past week or weekend. Georgia Tech, UNC, Florida State, Duke all had nice big crooked numbers in the win column. Feeling good. They're rolling.
Yeah. And I think especially we'll get more into it, but that Duke series was really, I think, shocking to both of us that they got the sweep. Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
right on that bubble. They needed to take 3 wins from Boston College. Dropping one of those would really hurt them. UNC getting the job done at NC State was a pretty big deal. And then, your Noles, they're just rolling.
They were rolling for sure. So let's start with that Florida State Notre Dame series. So obviously Florida State got the sweep. They have now 24 consecutive wins, which longest active streak in NCAA history. Not history, sorry. Longest active streak currently in the NCAA right now. And they're doing really well with good team softball.
Yeah, I think if you look at the numbers, they're batting nearly 400 in that streak. 9.5 runs per game. The ERA is 2.6. They have 10 run rules, 16 games with a home run, and 5 shutouts. I'm really impressed by the pitching numbers there because there was a time in this season where, is Jazzy going to be able to do it? Who's going to be her number 2? Who's going to be the number 3? Is this offense with all the freshmen being able to adjust to this level, this speed of the game quickly? And they've shown that this is a typical Alameda team that gets better as the season goes on. There's never a dip. And I think, I don't want to jinx them, knocking on wood, but I feel like this time of the year we've seen Florida State kind of drop a head scratcher, and we haven't seen that. They've just been going out and dominating.
Yeah, I agree. And with that 24 consecutive wins right now is 12-0 in conference play. And I think that's hard to do in any conference playing a team. We talk about it all the time. 3 times in a row is really tough. And it just shows how well they're doing the small things to take care of business. Because winning a series, I think for several of these teams is the expectation, but getting sweeps is where you get a separation from the good teams and the great teams. So doing a really good job there. And of course, all the games that they have lost have come to teams that are in the top 10. The couple of games in Clearwater, really tough schedule there. And then a couple of losses to Alabama early in the season, and has been fantastic ever since. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the pitching. We call it the duo, but maybe the trifecta too with Francik and Danley. I know you're a big fan of Ashton Danley and what she's doing this season. I think that there's a good number 3, but let's talk first about Francik and Ashton.
Yeah, I think Francik's the clear number 1 on this team. She was last year as a freshman, but it was finding that consistent arm that you could put in, get strikes, get outs, not give up free passes. And I'm really impressed with what Ashton Danley's doing. Like, she's coming in, she's being shut down, she's getting weak hits, the changeup looks great. I think she's throwing the best I've seen her throw in quite some time, and I think that's really, really important for this team. But my question is, who could be that number 3? So I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I agree with all of that you said. I mean, Francik has been a staple in her first year and a half as a Nole, and Ashton Danley has really assumed the role of being a great two-way player. And it's one thing to be a two-way player, like that's hard. But to be a really good one and have good success on both sides is kind of taking your game to a whole new level. And that's one of the things that I know that, in calling games and stuff this season, Lonnie has talked a lot about is Ashton really just committing to wanting to be that two-way. You like to see her having that success because, again, that's routine, that's discipline. It's all the things that happen a year ago, starting to compound and show the success on the field. But I think the number 3 right now is going to be Bella Dimitrijevic. I think that she's got great potential. She's just young. And I think that she's getting put in big moments and figuring it out. And I actually liked the other day, I got to call game 3 of the Notre Dame series. And I think Lonnie left her in there. Like, she got hit around a little bit. And where I would have assumed that in the past, Kocha would have done a pitching change, she kept her in there to figure it out. I think it's working through those growing pains that make players better and more confident. Everybody does it. And I think about the girls I played with. Burroughs was one of my best friends, but I remember, hell, when we were all young, you go through the struggles, and Megan King and all these arms that you've just seen kind of evolve throughout their career. And I think Bella Dimitrijevic is going to be really good.
I agree. I agree that she's going to be really good. What did you see from her, though? I mean, she got hit hard that first inning and got put in a hole early, and obviously Florida State answers back. But what do you see from her that makes her that solid number 3 that you could trust in a super regional to come out and get the job done?
She seemed like she had the poise and maturity because, again, things physically aren't going to go your way sometimes. When you see people just make mistakes, make physical errors or whatever, leave pitches a little too fat. But I think the way that she composed herself was still able to eye up the defense around her. Like, it never felt like the moment was getting too far away.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's just a mindset, and that's hard to teach because you can teach pitching mechanics all day long. Like, the running joke right now, like on social media that I see is like, you can't always teach people to have that dog and that fight in them. And you see that competitor in her shining through when things aren't going her way. And I think that is where the most potential lies, because when you're getting shelled or like shit's just not going your way, like, I think it's the real telltale sign of who you are.
All right. So she's got that it factor.
She's got that it factor. Yeah, for sure. I mean, her stuff is good. And I think that, again, under the tutelage of Kocha, she's going to continue to get better, right? Like, that's no question.
Yeah, we said it at the beginning of the year after Clearwater, like, this is a really good Florida State team. They're super young. They're going to be really freaking good in the next couple of years for sure. Just to get into a little bit nitty gritty of kind of Florida State, but you mentioned, like, that someone like Bella's going to get get hit, but they have the number 3 fielding percentage in the country. So they're able to get out of big moments, turn double plays, make plays when they need them. I mean, Issa Torres climbing the ladder and making that catch this weekend. She's incredible. And then Jason E. Beecham has reached safely in 26 consecutive games. You mentioned the depth that they have up and down the lineup, and something that I was really excited to see is Kennedy Harp in games 2 and 3 went 5 for 7. She hurt her knee at the end of last year, missed the postseason, and the ACC tournament, missed the beginning of this year coming back from that injury. And to me, it kind of feels like now she's hitting over 300 again. Things are starting to click and she's getting comfortable. You had to come back from knee injuries before. Did you ever have to come back like mid-season or beginning of the season? How was it kind of getting back to the game for you?
Yeah, it's tough. My second knee, I got cleared after about a week or 2 weeks in the season. So I was started to play that second or third week. And it's hard because everybody, it's like they've had the practice, like the live speed practice, and you feel like I felt like I was playing catch up my whole redshirt freshman year, and it is what it is, and you just kind of take it and roll with it. But I feel like I'm sure in the back of her mind that's how she feels, but you've got to act and play differently than you feel sometimes. But yeah, it's like you feel for a time like you're a little bit at a disadvantage because of the speed of the game being what it is. And that's where you've just got to buckle down and work that much harder because you know that you're trying to make up for a little bit of a gap there, but you figure it out. So I think she's been doing fantastic. And she did a post-game interview too, and just the joy and the journey and just the appreciation to be there, I think was really cool to see.
Yeah, I liked her perspective. She was like, I mean, we're playing a game. It's just a game, guys.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
go
so
out
cute.
and have fun. Like, I love
Yep.
that.
I wanted to remind her about that too. I'm like, hey, I'm going to remind you about this. When things aren't going your way sometimes, I'm going to be like, girl, it's just a game. She's going to be like, yeah, whatever.
You
Just
got long
kidding.
arms. You better watch out.
Yeah.
But I think she'll be an X factor. I think
Yeah.
you get her in the middle of that lineup with her power and her speed coming back. It's gonna be really good, and they'll need that in the postseason for sure.
Agreed.
Talk to me a little bit about what you saw from Notre Dame. We haven't spent much time on them this year.
Yeah. So this is a team that started out pretty tough. They had some like really good peaks and signs of greatness. I mean, they had the big win series-wise against Stanford several weeks ago. So that was big. And you're like, wow, could this team really be turning a corner? The last week was hard. Obviously, getting swept is not fun, but you do see signs of like life. Michaela Castor is really good. I think they have great potential in the circle. You look at Castor, you look at Brianne Weiss, you look at Cami Kamsick. Like, I think they throw well. I think that it's hard to manage pitchers, manage a staff, and I think that pitch calling is hard. I think all these things, but at some point, your defense, everybody else has to step up around you. And like you look at what Castor did in game 3. I think it was like by the second inning, they had a 4-run lead. And then Florida State responded by scoring 3 runs on, I think it was like 2 or 3 infield hits. It was like they walked Isa Torres, I think, like at some point, like, okay, obviously, like that was the plan. You know what I mean? She's not getting much to hit. But other than that, it was an error and like 2 or 3 infield hits. And you're just like, come on, dude. And I'm not talking like they were okay infield hits, but they weren't like legit. It was like, the defenders like going to their knees on things that they shouldn't have, and they're just too fast to be able to do that stuff, So it's just silly stuff that I'm like, with how well Castor's throwing, you've got to be able to play better.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
like
was
that
super
level
impressed.
of good to great.
Yeah.
Like that is so small, just so small details, like how you field this ground
Yeah.
ball
It
and
matters.
get rid of it. Yep, it's a
It
little.
matters. And I was also like really pleased that Castor kept such a great outlook and like spirit, because I'd be pissed out there, honestly. Like it would be hard to be that competitor and not be like, what are we doing? Did you see the MLB clip recently where it was like the shortstop or third baseman threw the ball to the first baseman and he like missed it, and the guy told him to catch the effing ball? It was like they got him on the slow-mo, like, catch the effing ball. I'm like,
Yes.
that's how I would be out there. Like, what are we doing?
Stand up.
Stand up, stay on your feet. Like, what?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but it's just that, like, I don't know. And then you start to look at some of the other stuff offensively, like Lily Hagan, she hits 2 home runs in game 1. Like, that's big.
Mhm.
And has a tougher game 2, I think like 0 for 2, and then doesn't play in game 3. She gets a pinch hit opportunity at the end of the game, grounds out into a double play. Like, okay, come on, off the bench, it's not easy to begin with. But like, why isn't she playing? She just
So it
hit
wasn't
2
even like an
jacks.
injury thing because she came in the
No,
game. Yeah,
no.
that's
And it's not even, yeah, like, I don't know. It's just hard. It's like, what are we doing?
yeah, like
So,
it's frustrating from the outside because you can see this potential there, right? Like
yeah.
you have some pieces there. It's just clean it
Yeah.
up, put kids in position to be successful.
Yeah. And then you look at walk to strikeout ratio too, real quick, from
Mhm.
the pitchers. And I said that the pitchers have so much potential, and I really think they do. But I also think the zone is tighter. And we can either talk about it now or later. But because I think at one point you mentioned that too in our notes, was Notre Dame walked 17 people and they only struck out 11. Like, Florida State's a harder team to strike out. But I also feel like in general, the zone is smaller this year, or is just small in general. How well these hitters can hit bad pitches. They hit balls off the plate, like balls off the plate all the time. And so you just start to question, you're like, man, should they be getting that outside corner? Because there were several times Coach Ganiff was like, not pissed. She wasn't pissed, but she was like, man, like we normally get that call, you know? And she said it in the in-game interview on one of the games. And it was tough because Castor was like getting fired up, like excited. And then it was a ball. She's like,
Yeah.
damn.
No,
Anyway, sorry.
the strike
On my
zones are
soapbox.
so frustrating right now, and people come to the games to watch hitters swing the bat. They
Yeah,
don't come to the game to watch balls and walks and
right.
all this. So I'm incredibly frustrated. And I don't think we're the only people that have expressed this sentiment vocally about the strike zone. And it's hard to be an umpire, but at some point we've got to start calling strikes, and it's not fair. I think that's a big reason why these offensive numbers are so inflated this year. I mean, Oklahoma might hit 200 home runs this year. I don't think that's
Yeah,
mathematically impossible for them to do. And I just don't think it's good. And there's other factors for sure, but the strike zone is just absurd.
yeah. Doesn't help.
No. All right, let's move on to Duke, Virginia. Neither one of us said that this would be a sweep either way, but it certainly was. Duke took first game 5-2, 4-3, and 8-4. I mean, it was game 2, just a one-run game, but the other games were pretty handedly taken by Duke. Overall thoughts on the weekend for Duke and Virginia?
Super crazy to me. Like to sweep Virginia, I say interesting. Like really good. Like Duke is a team that has struggled to be dominant this year. But I think we've seen such great potential. Virginia's a good team, and getting the sweep was not on our bingo card. So I'm very pleasantly surprised for Duke. Also worth noting is Duke used 14 or more players in each of the 3 games, which to me, like, that fires me up because it just says people off the bench, huge. Arms in the circle, huge. And we'll get into that because I know you're excited to talk about that one. But the most players that they used in one of the games in the series was 16. And I think that's a lot, like in the best way. I'm
Yeah.
for it. Like, I love pinch runners. I love people coming in defensively at the end of the game. I love pinch hit opportunities, like if it makes sense. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think utilizing what you have on your team, putting them in the best situations to, use what they're best at. Are they speed? Are they smart base runners? Are they great outfielders? Like making those choices and not just getting complacent with what your starting lineup is. I think Mercy Young's done a really nice job, especially as of late, using that lineup card. And I think it's, 2 players that we saw a lot of last year, Jada Baker and Amaya Burgess, past 2 years have been really instrumental to this team. And, they're not getting a lot of playing time. And I mean, Burgess was an infielder, first baseman. I mean, Jada Baker, first baseman, shortstop, like we've seen her all over. And then the power they have, it just, for those 2 players not getting a ton of playing time, it just shows me how deep they are. They had strong transfer class with Layla Lamar, Jess Oakland, and Tyrena Jones. I mean, they've just been insane. I know coming into this weekend, those 3 players were accounted for 30 of their 60 home runs. Just 3 players from the portal, just making a big difference offensively for them.
I think that is everything you need to know. Like the transfer players making a case for themselves as to why it's going to be so hard to take them out of the lineup, right? And as a coach, that's all you can ask for. Like it sucks because you see all your kids working hard and wanting opportunities, but at the same time, like it's a great problem to have when it's hard to make a lineup because these athletes are so talented and they're having the success and the numbers are showing that. But let's talk also about just their pitching. I know that this one gets you excited.
It does, because when I saw it happen against Campbell, I was like, okay, what's happening? And I'm talking about KK Mathis, the transfer for JMU, who's never pitched in college. She's a junior, never pitched, junior or senior, never pitched in college, pitched in high school, put her in against Campbell, and, she got outs, but they put her in at, with the bases loaded against Virginia and a tight ball game. And I'm like, no way is that KK Mathis coming in this situation. And she allowed 1 run, but she got out of it. I'm like, all right, there's no way she's coming back. Like this isn't Then she came back in. I mean, she went 2 2/3, got 2 Ks. I mean, gave up the 1 run, and she kind of made Virginia hitters look silly. Like she's throwing 58 miles per hour and just hitting spots, and then she has like a 50-mile-per-hour changeup, and you can tell that speed difference really has hitters confused.
It's like hitting a changeup all the time. People hate hitting changeups
Yeah.
unless they practice it. Yeah.
And there's no way that, like, Virginia prepared for her because they
Right.
probably were like me, like, "Oh, she just went in in the Campbell game just because it's a midweek and let's see what she can do. But to go in that situation, I'm want to know how this came to fruition. Did like KK Mathis go up to Marissa and was like, "Hey, look, I know our pitching is having some troubles right now, but I was pretty good in high school. Like I pitched a lot in high school. Give me a shot." Or was Marissa like, "KK, I know you pitched in high school. I need you in the bullpen now." Was it a joke at first and it turned real? But I mean, this could be the magical trick that Marissa Young pulls out of her hat and can be the difference for this team. And I'm shocked and I kind of love it now.
I think we'll work on it the next few days to find out how it all came
Hmm.
about. Yeah, really exciting stuff. I mean, and Cassidy Curd, so with that, Cassidy Curd's role has sort of changed too, right? You saw her whole career be a starter and all the things, be the go-to. Obviously last season, and honestly, she could have been dealing with it much longer, but last season it became a lot more obvious that she had been battling and fighting through injury. Still the case this year, but has worked really hard on the management of the injury and just being able to go out there and still compete. But her role has kind of shifted now to more of like that closer type role.
Yeah, she didn't start a game, but she went 7 1/3 and was the last pitcher in each game. Only allowed 2 earned runs. You'll love this. Just 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. And it reminds me of when she came into the game in Super Regionals against Missouri when they went to the World Series for the first and only time. I feel like she really embraces that role where she can come in and slam the door, save the day. Like, I think that's kind of who she is as a pitcher. And being able to put her in this situation and have 3 different starters for 3 different games and throw a couple different arms, including KK Mathis, who's throwing 58. Then you bring in Cassidy Curd, who's throwing 70, 71. That's a nice little
Yeah.
compliment there. And I think she embraces that role and she looked really, really good. Props to Duke and Marissa Young making that happen because they have the offense. They have the freaking offense.
Yeah, for sure they do. And the depth has been the power has been so much fun to watch. Just some of those hitters, like it's really cool. But let's stay on the topic of pitching, but shift the focus to Virginia and maybe the timeliness of their pitching changes and kind of what we've seen in the circle from them.
Yeah, I had some head scratching moments. Um, in game 1, Taylor Smith, the freshman that we talked about last week, like, hey, we need to know this girl because she's doing really good. And she was doing great. She did great this weekend, actually. But she comes in, gets Jennings to fly out, and then walks Vega, and then immediately pulled. And I'm like, watching this live, I'm like, really? Already? And they put Eden Bingham in, who's been, their star, but then it's walk, wild pitch, walk, strikeout, hit by pitch, double, and Duke scores 4 runs. So to me, it was like you pull Smith after 1 walk, but then you leave Bingham in to give away the game, basically. Like Virginia had the lead at this point. And then again in game 3, she started the game, goes 2 innings, and then the 3rd inning gets in trouble. And it was a walk, a hit by pitch, a fly out, a walk, a single, and Duke takes the lead 3-2. And it's like maybe because she's a senior and they trust her a little bit more to stay in through that. But there's also, I know how analytical Joanna Harding is, and because she's super smart. But I see it with other teams too, where they have like this predetermined, hey, you're going to pitch 2 innings, you're going to pitch 3, you're going to go 1 time through the lineup, and we're going to make these changes. I think there needs to be more of a feel for what's going on, because just because Taylor Smith walked 1 batter, like she was looking good. I don't know. I just feel like some things are predetermined in a way they shouldn't. And Taylor Smith only threw 4 1/3, only gave up 1 earned run, and I want more of her in the circle for Virginia.
So what you're saying is you think that like having a predetermined game plan is good to an extent, as you should, but then you've got to have a feel for how the game is actually playing out. And if somebody's doing maybe better than anticipated, or like the hitters aren't making an adjustment as quickly as maybe it was planned, you kind of keep them in a little bit longer and just have that feel aspect.
Yeah, you can have a guideline. I think a
Yeah,
guideline's always good.
right.
But the thing
It
is,
should,
it's been
yeah.
working for them all year long. Like, you throw 3 innings, you're gonna throw 4. Like, you can see it when you look at the box scores. Like, it's been working, but they haven't been facing competition like this either. So I think this series, though, as a whole for Virginia is really disappointing because the biggest win they have right now is Arkansas in week 1. I think they tried to, schedule some top teams like Ohio State and Michigan, but they just didn't pan out. Ohio State's having
Yeah.
down years, but this would have been a really big series for their aspirations of hosting regionals. Right now, I don't know if that's possible after getting swept, but they do have a huge series this weekend with Virginia Tech, and I think for them to host, they definitely need to sweep this weekend.
I agree with everything you said. I do think, again, kind of disappointing, but it's just part of it, learning to ride the roller coaster. But the next few weeks will be huge. And some of these teams in general, we'll talk about it here soon, but really have to take care of business. Like, I'm talking almost go undefeated.
Buckle down.
Buckle down. Yeah. Handle the business. You want to move on to Virginia Tech?
No, I want to give a shout out to
Let's go.
Jaden Gainey. Unbelievable. We talked about her a couple weeks ago in the 9-hole, how she's always finding way on base, flipping the lineup over. She did it again this weekend. She was unreal, made an unreal catch in right field, gets moved to center field the next game, makes an unreal catch. She is an underrated player that I think needs to have a little love. So that's my shout out for her.
Shout out. Love it. Love it. All right. Now you ready to move on?
Yeah, now I am. Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. Let's go to Virginia Tech and Clemson and what we saw there. Scrolling on all the notes. Okay. You want to start? Or you want me to start?
Yeah. Game 1, Sierra Manis kept Virginia Tech offense to just 2 runs. They look great. They scored 4 runs. They take game 1. They look like a phenomenal Clemson team that we've seen upset unrunable Georgia, beat Mississippi State. You know, this team that can beat anybody but also lose to anybody. But they look great that game 1. And then game 2, it just kind of fell apart for them. Clemson had Abby Dunning start. She struggles. Hames struggles. Crosby struggles. Johnson struggles in the circle. I mean, everybody's going to struggle to an extent against Virginia Tech, but can they win without Sierra Manis in the circle? And then they put Sierra Manis back in for game 3. And after only giving up 2 runs in game 1 and gives up 3 runs in the first inning. And then it's like, all right, you see Sierra Manis 3, 4, 5 times for a team like Virginia Tech. They're going to make these adjustments and hit the ball well. And Virginia takes the series.
Yeah. And this is the Virginia Tech team that we know can hit. And I like one of the points you made was all 9 starters are hitting over 300. That's good. Because, yeah, a lot of the time I think about, I know through my own playing career, and I'm sure yours too at some point, Brett, like my off year, it was tough. And I was hitting sub 300 and it was freaking frustrating. So to have all your main starters hitting at that, mostly consistent pace, like that's saying something. They spend so much time on their offense. They did hit 6 home runs in the series and just good stuff, good power. They've had good power for a long time. And I think their ability to sustain that has been one of the things that's most impressive.
Yeah. And I think on the other side of the ball for Virginia Tech is Mazzarone took the loss in game 1, got pulled in game 3. Bree Carrico got the win in game 2. Mazzarone's still credited with the win in game 3, but Bree Carrico is the difference maker. I mean, I know Emma Mazzarone gets all the attention because she throws hard and she's a stud out there and she's supposed to be the next one to fill Emma Lindley's shoes. But I think Bree Carrico, without her, I don't know where this team would be. She is so good. Game 2, just 1 earned run in 5 innings pitch, complete game. Game 3, 2 2/3, 1 earned run against Clemson. I just really, really like her in the circle, and that's that missing piece that they haven't had in a couple years is that strong number 2, but I almost call her like a 1B.
Do you think that they have the depth in the circle to be able to go deep into postseason?
I think having such a strong number 2 with Carrico will take them a ways. And their defense is playing really well, and their offense is unbelievable. The fact that they don't have to hold teams to 1 or 2 runs to win, I think they definitely do.
Okay. Well, I want to revisit this at some point because I don't disagree with you. And I think it's interesting. Like, if you don't have somebody that's like maybe a second ace or could be that role, I do think you need 3 or more pitchers that are legit, not aces, but legit. And I think that maybe if you have 2 aces, you might be able to get away with 2. We'll see.
But if you look around the conference, like how many teams would Bree Carrico be the ace on? I think a lot.
I agree. I completely agree. Interesting. I hadn't thought about it though like that, about like the aces and only having really like 2 legit arms. Whereas because most people do have 3 to 4 on staff that are okay.
And we saw both of them throw complete games this weekend. So they had the ability to go deep into games and still be successful. As for Clemson, Macy Cintron made her way back into the circle, which I thought was huge. I didn't realize this, but they mentioned it on the broadcast that she had a knee injury in the fall, and maybe that's why she only had 1 innings pitch coming into this weekend, but she came in game 3, went an inning and 2/3, no runs, 2 hits, and she was throwing hard. She was throwing like 68, 69, and if she's coming off an injury, she could probably throw even harder. when she gets fully healthy, but they need her. They
Mhm.
absolutely need her because at the plate, I mean, they're not doing much. Like Cintron and Noller, they're batting 4 and 5, and they had no hits on the weekend. Your 4-5 hole not getting a single hit,
Yeah, it's tough.
that's the tough part for me to swallow.
Yeah.
Like everybody's having trouble in the circle, but
Yeah.
I feel
The
like
hitter's gotta hit.
but Sarah Bro, though, she's going to be a problem. Freshman, third baseman, plays a great third base. She had 2 home runs on the weekend. She's going to be really good, and she's probably like the highlight of their offense right now.
Mhm. Agree. Well, and then defensively too, I know you're a big fan of Kylie Chanel. She's fantastic.
She's a
The
stud.
plays she's made, legit.
I know and that's why they can beat these top teams. Like they can come out and win really good games. It's when you get to game 2, game 3
Yeah.
that they have trouble. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to somebody else that's making us smile, and that's Louisville. I think
Yeah.
they're 4th in the ACC. I think we didn't really realize that until we looked at it. They've just been sneaky quiet. I mean, they didn't make the ACC tournament last year. Like
Mhm.
this team, full turnaround, really like what they're doing. They went out to Cal and took 2 of 3. They lost that first game. I will mention that this is the first time that they've played a conference series on the West Coast. They didn't go out there last year where a lot of people were like that learning curve of when do we
Yeah.
travel? Do we stay on East Coast time? How many days early do we go out there? I think, a little bit of an adjustment period, but I will say they only had the high home camera to watch these games and it was really difficult. So I can't get into too far of how it went, but I will tell you, Mack is a problem. Lefty speedster. Cal had 3 infielders on the left side, and she didn't care. She just slapped the ball right into it, and her speed beat it. She had 5 hits and a stolen base in each game. She's hitting 485 on the season. Bree Despines, I mean, she's doing great. It's Luckadoo. They have these pieces, and none of them are like these crazy power numbers, but
Mhm.
they're scrappy, chaotic, fun team to watch. And I think if you haven't watched them, you'll enjoy watching them.
Yeah, when I think of Louisville, I think of scrappy. It's
Mhm.
not always like they're not going to have that, staple player that is some program changing name at the moment. But they've got a lot of good talent. Chelsea Mack is having a fantastic season so far, like you said, hitting almost 500. Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
You mentioned the speed. She's got over 30 stolen bases, just legit. And one of the other pieces about her in particular, her strikeout ratio or lack thereof is insane. Only 4 strikeouts in 136 at bats, at more than 150 plate appearances.
That's
Holy
incredible.
shit.
That's
So hard to
incredible.
strike out. So hard to strike out. So Louisville took the series at Cal.
Yeah, and they entered the top 25 poll for Softball America, so some people
Love
are
to see it.
taking notice. Our RPI right now is sitting at 34, so that's in the sweet spot. So I expect to see Louisville in the postseason as long as things don't go crazy out of control. And
Yeah,
speaking of crazy out of control, let's talk about crazy and out of control Stanford.
let's do it.
They split with Washington and split with St. Mary. Well, St. Mary's had a great weekend. They beat Washington twice and beat Stanford. One thing of note, though, Alyssa Houston's back from injury, which is really big news for them. She looked good. And St. Mary's, she started the game, only went 1 inning. I'm assuming she's on some kind of pinch. What do you call that? A pinch
Count.
count.
Yep.
Yes. Only went 1 inning, no runs, 2 strikeouts, just the 1 walk, and then came in relief against Washington, went 2 1/3, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. She looked good in her limited time there, but both of those games that she pitched in, they won. So I think that's a big thing to note for Stanford, especially with Florida State coming to town this weekend. They're going to need everybody, and they're not going to be able to just give up free passes. So I am not out on Stanford now that it's back, but I'm sure they want that St. Mary's game back. But RPI is still 19, so solid postseason wise. Remember, they did have a hard schedule, played a lot of good teams, beat some good teams early on, have faltered in conference. They're 9-6 in conference, but what a weekend opportunity they have this weekend with Florida State coming into town.
Yeah, I'm excited for that series. But it's just to the point where some of these teams are going to have to play big. And we talked about it last week with Florida State, for instance. Like, they're going to have some big, maybe I say upsets, but playing Florida in a couple weeks will be huge numbers wise, RPI wise, DSR, all the things. But like a sweep at Stanford would really make a statement.
Yeah.
adversely, Stanford getting the series win would really make a statement. And so there is a lot on the line for a lot of these teams. And unfortunately, it's almost a question on some of them is who has more to gain versus who has more to lose. And we'll talk a little bit about that more with some of the other series coming up. But good stuff all around. Stanford, I'm not going to say still figuring it out because we're past that,
We
but
can't give that excuse anymore.
needing to handle business.
Yes.
So, all right, well, let's talk about your Tar Heels.
Yeah, they took care of business.
Yep.
They beat NC State. They needed a sweep, and they got the sweep. Postseason-wise, their RPI is 40 right now.
Yeah.
To me, that 40 is the cutoff. If you're 40 and above lower, I guess, you have a good chance of making postseason, and they're right at 40. But good news or bad news for them, they have one of the toughest schedules coming up in conference play. They have Duke, they have Florida State, and they have Virginia Tech. So good news, they take a couple games in there, it's going to help their RPI. Losing those games is not going to hurt them, but they have an opportunity to improve that resume because they don't have any good wins on the season, like top wins. They beat Virginia, right? I mean, that's a good win, but then Virginia gets swept by Duke. It's not helpful for UNC to have that happen, help their big wins on their resume. But it's a tough schedule, but hopefully their mindset is that this is the opportunity that we need to get ourselves into the postseason.
And let's talk a little bit more about that first, because this is, some things we do pull out of our ass. That is not one of them. That is a legitimate. They do have one of the toughest schedules remaining in the season based on a national poll, based on their opponent's winning percentage. So that is not one of the tidbits of information that we pull out of thin air, pull out of our ass. That is a legit stat.
Not an opinion.
Yeah, not an opinion. So just want to go on record with that. So it'll be huge. That is one of the teams, and that this is actually who I was referring to when I made that comment of they have more to gain, less to lose, because on paper they shouldn't win those games or those series, right? They can, absolutely, but on paper they shouldn't, and so they've got everything to gain.
And it's kind of crazy. They're 28-9 on the season, which is a great record, right? There's a ton of teams that would want that record. It's just that strength of schedule,
quality. Yeah, the quality of the wins.
Yeah, but they everything, it's in their control now, which is what you would want.
Georgia Tech and Boston College. Georgia Tech swept Boston College. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. This is a Georgia Tech team that we've seen have so much potential. Crazy enough, they are 8-10 in conference play. I don't remember the number, and I could go back and count. So this is one of the things I will pull out of thin air. But they had like over 6 one-run games or something like that were just so close and like one swing away.
Yeah.
So
I think it was double digit. I think it was like 10.
It might have been. Okay.
Yeah. Lost like 6 or 7 of them. Man. So it's just been tough for them. And they had a really close game against Boston College too. Or I'm watching it. I'm like, no, not again. Not again, Georgia Tech. But then Holly Medina with the 3-run walk-off bomb. And then from there, they just kind of took off for the rest of the week, in which they needed to. They can't afford a bad loss, a quad 3 or whatever Boston College is in, because their RPI is at 42. And to me, just the way the selection committee works, I kind of feel like it's either going to be UNC or Georgia Tech getting that last spot. I would love to see them both in if they take care of business, right?
Yeah.
But we don't get the love, and sometimes rightfully so, that the SEC gets, that if you're above 500, you're getting in. The selection committee is going to put the whole conference in if you're above 500. Georgia Tech's played a heck of a schedule, had some incredibly close games that just didn't go their way. But sitting at 42 RPIs, they've got to take care of business, and they have everything in front of them too. They only have 2 conference series left because they started earlier than everybody else. They have Virginia Tech and Florida State. So just like UNC, they have the opportunity in their hands, but they also have a handful of non-conference games that could hurt them. Iowa, South Dakota State, Georgia Southern, like you got to take care of business in those and then be able to take a couple games from Virginia Tech and Florida State.
Yeah, and this is a Georgia Tech team that went 4-0 this past week in their midweek, and then their series against Boston College. Sydney Watts and Madeline Johnson each collected 2 wins, which I think was big. Some good stuff offensively. We'll get into that with our players of the week and our special shout-outs. But yeah, just really good stuff, and kind of feels like finally maybe a little breath of fresh air or a turning point for Georgia Tech and how hard we've seen them work the last couple of seasons. So
Well, you mentioned shout outs. You want to give out your standout performance of the week?
Let's do it. Grayson Tucker for Georgia Tech was by far the best hitter in the conference. 9 for 11 this weekend, over 800 batting average. She had 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. I think it was like 4 walks, something like that. So just good stuff from her at the plate. Coming through in the clutch moments was big.
Yeah, she's really been good all year long, but really
Yeah.
an exclamation this past week. Mine's not going based on stats. Mine's going based on impact, and I'm going with KK Mathis.
Love to see it.
It's just like the most incredible story to me right now, and so unexpected. And she's a competitor, Alex. Like,
Yeah.
she's not going out there like, well, coach said I pitched in high school, so let me just go out here and, there's no expectations of me. Like, if I screw up, it's fine. No, she's going out there with that dog mentality. She gets a strikeout, man. She's stomping the ground, ripping that. Like, she is fighting out there and competing. And, she's throwing 58 miles per hour, which, doesn't blow anybody by. But you look at her, you think she's throwing 75. So
Yeah.
it's just fun to me to see her embrace this and just love this role. And it's making a huge difference for Duke, surprisingly. Kind of reminds me, what was that movie? Was it Rookie of the Year, where the kid like broke his arm and it was in a cast like this and he could throw like 100 miles per hour? So they put him in the league, and then his arm stopped working. So he just kind of flips it in there and strikes everybody out like that. Do you remember that movie?
I hate to admit it, I've never seen that movie. I know. I'll add it to the list of movies
All
I've got to
right,
watch.
well,
KK Mathis here. I'm going to put you on the spot. It's okay if you don't get it, because, like, why would you know this? But I will give you a hint. It's a Florida State reference. So think of, like, Florida State athletes.
okay.
I feel like KK Mathis has, like, that mentality of, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big then. You know who said that? It's more my time, not, like,
Your
super far.
time?
Well, yeah, I guess
Not
that is kind of a
super
long time.
far.
I know, it is kind of a long time ago. But if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big then. Football.
Football?
Yeah.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I
Good
got
guess.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks
Good
for the
guess.
clue. Thanks for the clue.
Gotcha.
I was like thinking
But
of
that's
your
her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Jameis
that's her. I feel
Winston
like
is a great
like
one.
you said, but she gets fired up on the strikeout. Like, nobody's expecting her to go out there and, I say, quote unquote, dominate or have all this success. But, like, hell yeah, girl, let's go.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love watching her.
So.
At first, I did not. I was like, what the hell are we?
And it's not a her problem. It was a
It was
WTF moment,
me.
right?
It
Yeah.
was me
Yeah.
problem. But now I'm all on board. And when I get on board with things, I hope it doesn't go the wrong
You are
way.
all in. Yeah.
Yeah, I fully commit to
You do,
something.
because when you're off, you're off. You're like cutthroat. You're like, yeah, screw this, screw them. They're dead to me. So
Unfortunately, I do that in like real life too. But anyway, we don't have to get into that. All right. My favorite thing, BS or no BS, Alex.
Let's
So I
do
love hearing your opinions. This BS or no BS came from an outside source that is really passionate about this. So I have to ask, because I'll get in trouble if I don't. BS or no BS, you should be able to review a hitter stepping out of the box when they make contact.
No BS. I do think you should be able to review that. That was a game changer a couple of seasons ago. I'm trying to think back of, like, when the rules have changed, because they've kind of evolved over time. I don't think you've ever been able to review those, but the results were different. So stepping out of the box was a huge factor for slappers and short gamers the last couple of seasons. And it used to be, if they stepped out of the box, they were automatically out. Like, dead ball, they're out.
Mhm.
Now it is the fact that if they step out of the box, the defense can either take the result if it worked in their favor, or you can redo the pitch. Like, say the batter got on base, you can redo the pitch. Or if they had 2 strikes, that becomes strike 3 and then they are out. The rules of the result have changed. However, you've never been able to review it. So I think you should be able to review it and have the results what they are now. I don't think it's an automatic out, but I think that it should be reviewable. Sorry,
Right.
that was a long explanation.
No, you're good. I completely agree with you. It's because they always get into we don't want to get in the business of placing runners. You're not going to have to place runners if you review this. And it's something where just a couple years ago, I felt like it was getting called over and over and
All
over.
the time.
And now it's not called again. But we mentioned it. We were talking earlier, like maybe in postseason when they throw that fourth umpire out behind second base, we're going to start seeing it called. And I see so many clips of hitters out of the box, even like hitters swinging like out of the box and hitting the ball. So yeah, it would be a quick review. You don't have to
Yeah.
place runners. So let's
I agree. I'm for it. I
Van
think that
Peebles-
source is onto something.
that source. Yes, I think she has ulterior motive, but we will voice our opinions as well. All right, BS or no BS. game threes with a drop dead time that go into extra innings should go straight into international tiebreak.
I think no BS. I think they should go to international tiebreaker. Freaking hate with a passion ending in a tie. I think that's the dumbest shit ever. I think everybody hates it. Honestly, like, I'm sure the coaches are like, what the hell? So yeah, I think that they should go into an automatic international tiebreaker once they get through those innings. Just like in baseball, game 3 used to have like different rules. Like there was a run rule previously for game 3s that they didn't have the first 2 games in the season or the series. So yeah, I absolutely think they should go to international tiebreaker because I think we should avoid ties at all costs. We saw it a week ago with who was it? It was Oregon and who?
Northwestern.
Northwestern, yeah. And then this past weekend, it was the game I didn't call at UCF. It was UCF and Utah. That shit went like 4 hours.
Yeah.
They were texting me, they're like, great job not calling this game. I was like, my bad.
Sorry.
Crazy. Mind you, Eric and Jada were doing the broadcast in left field, so they were just baking in the sun that whole time. Yeah.
I love the idea of doing it out in left field, but then
So
in that
fun.
Orlando heat for 4 hours. Yeah. But I had never thought about that. I think that's a really interesting solution to a problem that people complain about. Like, don't complain about something if you're not going to come up with a solution. And I really like that, Alex.
Thank you. I pulled that one right out of my ass.
I think it's smart. I mean, nobody loves international tiebreaker, but
no.
Do you love ties more or do you love ITB more? And I think,
right.
Which one do you hate less? All right, last one. BS or no BS? The race to rank the number 1 team in the country is pretty clear cut right now.
I say complete BS on that one. I think it is more than ever anybody's game right now, anybody's spot. I love it. That like 1 through 4 slot, no telling where it's going to end up. I think the next couple of weeks. And I do think that at this point in the season, granted, crazy things could happen, multiple injuries, whatever, in the past. But I think that for the first time ever, I literally have no idea who's going to finish in first.
Yeah, I think this weekend, I'm going to try and say it, the Red River rivalry is going to happen with Texas and Oklahoma. And I think this, after Texas losing the series to Alabama, I think this is going to show us more about Oklahoma and what they can do. After sweeping a run rule sweep of Kentucky this past weekend, I think if Oklahoma can handle business at Texas, I'll learn more about Oklahoma and, maybe they're up in that top spot, but Texas Tech's schedule, they probably shouldn't lose another game. So the fact that they're ranked number 1 in a couple polls, they may never come out of it. Unless Oklahoma takes care of business this weekend, then I think maybe they can. But Alabama's, I was shocked that they took the series this past weekend against Texas. Texas dropped 1 to A&M, drops the series to Alabama. Big for them, too, against Oklahoma. So, yeah, those top 4 teams, and I love it. I love it because we've lived through the Oklahoma dynasty for so long where it was just like they're number 1.
Obvious.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in some of the polls, Texas Tech was number 1, so it really is anybody's game right now. Also, I want you to record, and whether you post it on your social media or send it to me, I want to hear Lincoln say Red River rivalry because we've been talking for but we've been talking for like 30 years and can hardly say it. So I want to hear him say it. He probably is better than all of us.
I'll get him on it.
Yeah.
All right, your pick'ems for this weekend are the 3, I think, most consequential series this weekend. First one, game 2 is gonna be on ESPN2. Game 3 is gonna be on the mothership ESPN. Florida State at Stanford. What do you have?
I got the Noles. I'm gonna go against the grain here. I really always need to just like have these written in stone before we get you like watching me in pain.
Let me hear it.
Yeah. I'm going to go against the grain here, and I think Florida State's going to sweep. I think that they feel like they've got something to prove. I think that, again, in some polls, they're breaking that top 8 slot. I think they know they have to be great the next couple of weeks if they want to host a super regional and if they have to get there first. So day by day. But yeah, I think they know that. I think they've got a chip on their shoulder to prove that. And I think they're hungry. I think Stanford is going to put up a good fight, but Stanford has been battling things that are hard to place. So that's where I stand.
FSU sweep. I like that. It made me think of like the past 2 years where Florida State's been seeded. They've gone against the team that's played in the national championship the past 2 years. I think that mindset is, hey, we have to beat the best to be an eventual champion, but let's set ourselves up a little bit better this year. So they sweep Stanford. You're exactly right that they could get themselves into a top 8 seed, and that would be huge to play at the Plex for Supers. I didn't think about that because, Florida State's just comfortably rolling, but no, they need this, but Stanford needs it too.
Absolutely, they do.
I was going to go Florida State taking 2 out of 3 because Alyssa Houston's back. But now that mindset might change my mind, but I'm going to go Florida State 2 out of 3.
Okay.
Florida State 2 out of 3. Just that
Should we
West Coast travel, even though they are playing, I love what they do. They play a midweek against Santa Clara on Wednesday and get adjusted and then play the weekend. So they're there. Whereas we saw last year, a lot of teams would play the series and then stay an extra couple days and play the game. They're playing the game ahead.
I do have like a little inside scoop, and I don't think I'm sharing anything private with this, but I got to sit on scouting when I called their game. And they were, of course, already talking about game 3 of Notre Dame that day, but they were also already talking like months. So they left today. So they leave Tuesday, a super early flight. So Lonnie scheduled it where she was like, on Monday, everybody's in bed by 9 p.m. because they had to be like at the field at like 3 or 4 a.m. this morning. And they're going to, because they had a super early flight to travel to the West Coast. She was like, whatever it is we do, I don't know their schedule, but they're making them stay awake all day. They're not allowed to like nap at the hotel so that they crash tonight and sleep so hard and then can sleep in tomorrow as well. With the time change, it works in their favor. So then they're ready to go tomorrow. Because she's like, I didn't want people like, having to adjust. She's like, people are naturally going to fall asleep earlier today, Tuesday, because of the time change being behind. She's like, so I want us to sleep long, like hard and long. So interesting the dynamics there.
But no, I love it. It's the little things that she takes care of and puts her team in the best situation, be successful physically. Love that. So she's so smart, Alex.
I want to be like her.
I know. All right. I wish she would manage my life. All right. You need to go to sleep tonight at 9, and then tomorrow you need come on. I want that.
Yeah, boss. Yeah, right.
God, and I would listen. All right. Commonwealth clash. Yep. Virginia Tech, Virginia. Virginia Tech took 2 of 3 from Clemson. Virginia gets swept by Duke last weekend. What do you have? I'm
going to go Virginia Tech takes the series 2-1. I think Virginia is going to be hungry. I just think Virginia Tech is so good. The hitters right now are pretty insane, hard to stop. So I think Virginia Tech is going to win it. Yeah, I think Virginia Tech with the 2 solid arms will take 2 games. Yeah, I agree. I think the more Virginia will see those arms, the better success they'll have. And hopefully the pitching's managed a little bit better this weekend against top bats. But yeah, I think Virginia Tech takes 2 out of 3. All right, big rivalry. Duke at UNC. What do you got? I'm going to apologize in advance to go get your Tar Heels, but I am going to go Duke sweeps UNC. I think they are rolling. I think they're hungry. I think they too have something to prove. I think that they are hitters right now, and UNC plays like a very small park. I think UNC will score I think it'll be a lot of runs. Yeah. I do think that it'll be long games and a lot of runs, but I think Duke's going to sweep. Okay. I'm going to go Duke takes the series 2-1. Just because UNC is at home, and if they get into a shootout, it's anybody's game, and I'm going to give one advantage to playing at home for UNC. Okay. How many runs do you think there's going to be? At least 30 runs scored in the series. Absolutely. I was actually going to go a line per game. Okay. I'm thinking, I was going to go a little heavier. I was going to go 12. I was going to go 12 runs a game. I'll be safer and go minimum 9 runs a game, every game. Right. Between the 2 teams. How about home runs? Ooh, over under 3 a game. I'm going to go over 3. I'm making these lines up as we go. Both teams are struggling in the circle, but teams are not struggling in the box. Yeah. Over under 12 home runs in the series. That'd be 4 runs a game. Okay, I'll do that. I'll go over. I'm going over too. Yeah. I think we may see 20 home runs hit this weekend. Let's do it. All right. Well, some exciting things to watch this weekend. And don't forget E2, E1 for Florida State Stanford. That'll be awesome to showcase their new field. And I think Scarborough's calling those games. So it's a big production down there for them. So, all right. To see it. See you next week. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, bye-bye. Comment back.